as I said earlier, the brothers are on board with me. I'm a little technology stricken this afternoon, and I got my little girl over there. We divided and conquered, and she got a lot of energy. But with that being said, fellas, let's do some round of introductions. And I can't see you all, so I'm just going to have you all jump in and begin to introduce yourself. And why don't we start with Tim? Why not Tim this week?
Yeah, this is Tim Lang from the National Parents Union. Hey, everyone. Good to see you, Michael. Good to see everyone.
Jose, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello, my name is Jose Manuel Villarreal. Just to welcome, I'm glad to be back. This is a fun day today. We're looking forward to it.
All right. Welcome. John.
Yeah, John Monteleone, once again, father of Antonia and Rochelle, and just happy to be here.
All right, gentlemen. We've been talking off air a ton, and I just want to start off by just saying I appreciate y'all tremendously. I'm looking forward to this week. I've shared, that the work can get real sometimes, and I'm fortunate to be working in a great location with great people. But the financial times are tough for everyone right now, and as a school, we have to make it in the remote world, right? So we're gonna experience this session, and I just want to start off by saying, have I looked forward to this week or this session, because it's been a tough week as we go through life working. I work in a great district with great people, and due to various reasons, partly the pandemic that we were facing some cuts. And I mean, you're talking about people's livelihoods and how they're going to pay their mortgages and support their families. So those decisions aren't tough. And sometimes in making those decisions, it take you out of character. But the one thing I knew I had going for me was this session right here with my brothers. So I really thank you all. And let's have a good show.
That's right.
So with that being said, though, we made some promises at the end of last week, correct, gentlemen?
Sure did.
Yeah.
So as always, let's kind of get in and talk about how we fulfilled or misstepped or what we learned from our experiences. And I'm gonna work counter this way. So I'll start with John and work my way around.
Yeah, so I definitely have my baking skills on point this week. And by that, I mean, I went to the store, bought some prepackaged cookies, put them bad boys in the oven, and 17 minutes later, we were snacking on some chocolate chip cookies, double chocolate chip there.
Wait, did you say prepackaged?
Prepackaged.
All right, it's baby steps. It's baby steps. But you got your own little thing and got your cookie on.
I do want to say, since we're in this new grading scale of COVID-19, I think that qualifies for a pass, not a fail.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll give you a satisfactory too, man. Hey, Tim, how to go cuddling with your guys?
Oh man, it was great. My big guy, he's had a rough week. He's really missing school. His dog at his mom's house is sick, and they might have to put her down. 15-year-old Chihuahua, so he's feeling the feelings. And he has been such a cuddle bug today, and even this last week. And even though it's not for a good reason, I'm so glad I can be there with him. And then even his little brother, who's a little bit of a tough guy, he's getting a little bit jealous of it, and he wants to cuddle. So we've had a lot of cuddle piles this week. It's been a good cuddle week.
Man, there's nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
I don't know about you, but in Ohio, the weather's been permitting for the cuddling too. So I hope. Yeah. So Jose, tell us how it went for you. Just showing love in an authentic way, and then some. So what you got for us?
Yeah, it's been a busy week here at the home as well as work, doing a lot of things online. Being able to spend time with my sons, playing a video game that they want to play on the Xbox, which is great. Just trying to be active. You hear noise in the background. I got my mother and her caretaker here helping her out. They're making masks in the room. I took an old shirt that was like triple X on me, and they cut it all up to make little strips for the masks, which was great. I think I ended up making 20 masks out of it to help us out as we're out and about working with the community. But that's it, man. Trying to keep her healthy, make sure she's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you're able to do that and to take care and to take the time to slow down a little bit too, right? I know you're a busy man as well. So, yeah, and So my promise, and I think we all picked up on this challenge a little bit. I was randomly sending out texts to my male friends out there saying, simply put, I love you and there's nothing you can do about it. Now, there were some interesting responses. I will say I reached out to about 50 folks over the course of the week, and some did not respond, which I was like, I can't even get any love back at all. Some were like, hey, did you mean to send that to your woman? What's wrong with you? Some authentically were like, are you okay? Like, they were really thinking like I had an announcement to make in regards to my health. And I was like, no, it's good. Others, like former basketball players that I used to coach, having some dialogue and catching up with them and seeing what they're doing in life right now, sharing pictures of their kids. Like, it opened up more conversation. And then today, I got a phone call from a gentleman I used to coach with, and we just really chopped it up. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of cool. Some said, I love you back without, reservation. Others were like, yeah, you too, bro. So it was just really interesting just to see people's different levels of comfort. But it also shared with me that maybe I need to do better with some relationship pieces too. Like, those that didn't answer, I hadn't talked to in a while. So they were probably like, hey, this is random. Or they might have even maybe not have my number still. I don't know. But I'm going to follow up. So I would say mission was accomplished because I had a lot of good, heartfelt conversations. And, God works in his time, in his reason, in his season. I truly believe that. And with what was going on this week, I needed some of those random texts back and outreach. So, so I just wanted to share a little bit of that. So it sounds like we had good, successful weeks.
It was a trip. I did that, Michael, and I got some mixed feedback too. And it, I think some people said, I love you too, which was great. And then someone said, was this really meant for me? OT, are you trying to tell us Lassie's down the well? And some people just didn't know what to make of it. But I felt good. And like you said, it almost made me think about different times when I say I love you to different people. It means different things, but everyone, like I said, everyone really needed it this week. It was a rough week.
Yeah. I mean, it's a rough time, right? I mean, how long have we been in quarantine? 40 days. I don't know how many. I can't keep track, right? Yeah. So we definitely need a little bit of that. Now, Jose, you said you were going to try to do that too a little bit.
I did it. I took from you. I'm trying to find the text right now, but I took from you, and I think I said, I love you, period. Deal with it. That's what I said. So I sent it to three gentlemen. One I work with every day. One I talk to once or twice a week. And the other one probably 3 or 4 times a month. And so I think all of them responded favorably, responded like I wanted them to respond or hoped they'd respond, which I was really, really inspired by. But let me do a little sound check. How many did you say you sent it to? 50?
50.
Listen, man, I ain't got room on my phone for 50, man. I don't know what you're talking about with 50. I got room for 3 or 4, but you got a 50?
I got a 50. I mean, and it stretched from, like I said, years ago when I was a varsity coach back in 05, 08. So players, I reached out, I hadn't talked to in a while, and it was cool to see Coach, love you, miss you too, man. Everything all right? Things of that nature. But yeah, it was 50 strong. And for those of you that may be tuning in that I haven't heard from in a while, I'm coming for you.
That's right.
I'm going to be relentless and resilient in this.
Listen, I want to thank you, Michael, for challenging me. I'm going to carry this forward. I have a few friends of mine who work in the correctional facility system who I can't wait to see their reaction because I do care about them and worry about them all the time. Law enforcement, all kinds of places. So yeah, that really made me be a reflective dad, a man, and a human being related to other men in my generation. So I really appreciate that. And certainly with my sons, I mean, I'm all over them, hugging them, saying good things to them all the time, being positive, and then hold them accountable at the same time. But yeah, it's just a beautiful thing. So I want to thank you for that challenge. I'm gonna keep it going.
All right, John. I know you sent one to me, which is kind of cheating, but
Come on, John. Come on,
Hey,
John.
it counts. It counts. Yeah, Mike. Just similar to the other dad's experience, I sent out a few texts, to some people that I touch base with on a regular basis, and for those ones, I'm really it's really important for me to have authentic relationships. And one thing that I don't like about social media nowadays is it kind of lends to having shallow connections. And so I'm always one to like really keep strong bonds. And so for those ones, they kind of like, text me back with like, oh, there you go again, in your feelings. I had a couple send back like, hey, I ain't got no money. Couple emojis, some emojis like,
Right.
But yeah, I mean, for the most part, everybody responded, and they were mixed. Some was like, "Hey, I love you too." Like I said, some was like, "Hey, I'm broke currently. Not getting no money this way." But it was good. But it was off. It was interesting to see who responded with what, for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. That authenticity that you speak of, John. I kind of want to use that to get us into our topic, which is going to be around this "I love you," those 3 words. But being authentic about it, what does that mean? Like, I'll give it just a quick little ditty here. Like, I always say it, like, repeatedly to my wife. We hang up the phone, I love you. Like, my parents, I love you. Like, I just constantly, because you never know, right? But I pay attention also. Like, my wife doesn't always do that with her family. But when she does it, it really, stands out. So that authenticity, as men, though, I want to kind of have us talk about a little bit. So, here's a question I want to pose to everybody. What does it mean to say them to other men? What does it mean to say, I love you to our children? What does it mean to receive it, right? So a lot of you in your stories talked about, sending it out. But what do you think that felt receiving it? And if you were in that place where someone randomly, a male randomly reached out and said that to you that doesn't normally, so let's talk about that a little bit. What does that mean to say it to others, specifically men, and what does it mean to receive it? And, as dads, what's our moral obligation, spoken and non-spoken in regards to that? So I'm going to throw this out to anyone that wants to jump in first. So.
I thought a lot about that, Michael, after, like, what does love mean to me? When I say I love you, what does that mean? And I got different meanings depending on who I sent it to. And I really reflected on how often I say it now to people and what it means. So if it's a coworker or a friend, what it really means is like I've got your back. I'm supporting you. Especially if they're going through a rough time. I'll say, I love you. I care for you. I got your back, man. You're not alone. When I say it to my boys, though, I gotta tell you, it's tough for me to imagine it because it's almost like there's no end to it. It's not just like I've got your back. It means I will do absolutely anything for you to keep you safe, and then some. I can't even like describe it. I did ask my son before this broadcast, he's soon to be 9 in a few weeks, what is it, how do you feel when I say I love you? He's like, I don't know. But yeah, it definitely, this was an eye-opening exercise for me, what it means when I say it to other people.
Yeah. So that idea of I got your back and I love you for the air that you breathe and the human being that you are, and know that when times are rough or even whenever, I'm there with you. But then there's this protective piece with those that are close to our family, our loved ones, our sons, our daughters, whatever it may be, that I love you and I will run through fire for you, right? Because of that love. Wow. That's Jose. Thanks, Tim. That's powerful.
Yeah, I was just sitting here thinking, how would I say it in Spanish to another man?
Talk to me about that.
I don't know, man, because even with my dad, I talked about him as 6'5", true Mexican man through and through, grabbing those chickens, killing those snakes with that shovel. And it wasn't until he was older that we would say, or he would say to me, te quiero, not te amo, because te amo seems so intimate, at least in Spanish to me. Te quiero o lo quiero, and usually there's a bad word, like I love you, you know, with bad word at the end. It's almost like a manlier way to say it. That's what my dad used to tell me that, right? But it wasn't all the time. It was in those moments of emotion that happened for him. So I'm just thinking right now, like I have friends that speak Spanish that if I said that to them, I wonder what would happen if I said it to them in two different ways, to different people, right? Like te amo, aguántate means deal with it, or te quiero, aguántate. Man, even just saying it right now makes me go, wow, how would that be received in that way? So I'm gonna try it now. I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna see what happens. This is my next level of work related to this idea of love. But yeah, just like with Tim, though, with my sons, I mean, I even like have a gentle voice when they're walking by me here, and I tell them how much I love them. You know, it sounds like almost like a baby voice. It's a weird voice, but it's like an endearing voice that I say to them. And I always pose the question, why do I love you so much? And my son goes, yeah, you know, like retorts, right? He's a 7th grader. And I go, and then sometimes I just hug him or I fireman carry him. I used to wrestle back in high school. Not very good, by the way. I was a terrible wrestler. But I used to get pinned all the time. But I'm big enough to grab him and shake him. And I said, I won't let you get down until you give me one piece of evidence of why it is, you know, and then he finally says it. But the Spanish thing, man, you got me thinking how that's going to work.
Yeah. So you got me thinking too, because like my 50 that I reached out to come from many different cultures. You know, it's not like I was just reaching out to 50 African-American males. I mean, it was all across. Yeah. So I didn't even think about, you know, one's cultural experience. I was just thinking like, well, you're my friend, we're a peer group, whatever. That is insightful. So I would love to hear more about, you know, how that goes with the multiple delivery forms.
I'm gonna do it.
And I might have to get you know, you might have to write that down for me. So for my friends that speak Spanish, I can, you know, hit them with that too. I want to try that as well. They might even be shocked that I, you know, added a little something to my repertoire. So John, let's talk to us about I love you and what that means to you, and how you engage that with others, and and receiving it.
Yeah, I found out, Mike, that love is complex through this exercise, and just through a couple dialogues that I had with my father and a friend of mine who is really not known for showing love in a very wordly or physical expression, but is someone that you can rely upon that's always going to have your back. I mean, he's a man of integrity. He always adds value to other people's life and mission. And he's also someone that does a job that he doesn't necessarily love, but yet he never misses a day at work. And to him, that's love. Like getting up every day, doing something, sacrificing himself so that he can provide and put food on the table for his family. And then, you know, in talking to my dad, you know, being an Italian family, you know, expressions of love was always constant. It's something that we never hid, and, you know, I've talked about in other episodes. But for him, you know, giving and receiving love from male to male was really about, you know, that loyalty and that integrity. And, you know, he would always say that, you know, if he ever lost love for a male friend, it was because they did something that was, you know, in his eyes, dishonorable. And he talked about this relationship that he had with his manager. He was a bartender at a country club, and times were hard, and his manager had asked him to start watering down the high-end liquor. And that really hurt my dad coming from him, and he shared that with me. Like, you know, like, I love this guy, I looked up to him, but, you know, how could we do this to our members? How could we do this to the people that we serve? And he told me, he said, John, at that point, he's like, I lost a little bit of love for him because, you know, to me that was a lack in his character. And so it's just very, very complex. When it comes to our kids, though, I think that it's that that parental love that it's almost hard to put in words, because like Tim said, you would do anything for them. You would lay your life down on the line instantly. Like it's just an instinct that we have in them. And it just goes without saying. So it was a wonderful exercise, and something that really got me reflecting and thinking about like what does it mean to say I love you and show love to others.
So, John, I'm going to take something that you said there, and I want to open it up to everyone again. Like, love that you express, but then the repair. So, like you mentioned with your dad, there was the relationship was harmed there, right? So, I truly believe, like, in every interaction, one of three things happen. The relationship stays the same, the relationship grows, or the relationship is hampered and has a withdrawal. So fellas, let's talk about this love as an equity piece too. So like, how do you use love to repair harm, right? Because oftentimes we see as men, if something goes wrong and that love isn't strong, it's easy to go left. Like I'll speak for me personally. I am, cut from that cloth, even though I try to promote love in all that I do, but it's hard sometimes to remember that when a harm has come my way, right? So, what role does love have in repairing relationships too?
Mike, I think it plays a huge role. And I also think it's important to realize that as human beings, we're all fallible, right? Like we all fail. I think it's when one doesn't use the power and energy of love to try to help rebuild that bond, like just to come out and admit that you made a mistake or you incidentally, hurt somebody, and to use that energy of love to reach out to them and say, I'm sorry, and talk it through and show that, hey, I failed on this. I didn't mean to hurt you or wrong you. But I want to reach out to you and show you that I still love you.
Yeah. Tim or Jose, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's true. Love is acknowledging, first of all, that others love you as well. And that you can make those repairs. I think there's plenty of times, whether it's in a relationship with, my girlfriend or a family member, it's knowing that we love each other so much, no matter how bad the fight is, that you can turn it around and, whether I'm wrong or not, say, you know what, I'm wrong. Let's just stop this. This isn't good. This isn't good. We love each other too much. But you have to know that that's there first.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be established. Yeah. Jose, I want to just give you an opportunity.
The late Luther Vandross said the power of love. I mean, it's the power of love. And I'll tell you, every one of us as men have a love language. We just do. And my language is not bilingual. My love language comes with action. My love language is I speak with my actions and with my words, not as much. So if I put that on a pie chart, I'm saying 80% of my love language is my actions and 20% is my language. In terms of the word of I love you. So I do it by the thinking ahead for that person and what they may or may not need in that situation, wondering about their day and what they may be going through, because I heard a story, and so I'm going to reach out and send a little note to a fellow man, or to a relative or a loved one or my children, in that way. And if you're in I started as a school counselor, and the work that I did is around this idea of a bubble. That we all have this bubble that's around us, and it's our job to pull people in our bubble and pull them out of our bubble. And so in that notion of a bubble is when you have them in your bubble, then therefore you are then worried about them. You're thinking about them, not about, I worry about you, make sure you're okay. I remember you were saying something's going to happen this week. By the way, how did I end up going? And just asking that question and then being genuine and waiting for the response is my love language. So I think that I've learned that late in my age here. Obviously, I didn't know that when I was younger. Didn't know what the heck I was doing then. But I think I caught that from my parents and watching them do things for each other, which then said to me, and even my mother, doing that for others with no expectation of return. And so that power of love and that love language that I hold is really related to the actions that lead it all. Yeah.
Yeah, that's powerful. So the love language, I'm gonna take that too with me as I move forward. But when you said that, I heard also, to me, there's a love language. My brain went so flow of consciousness to dialogue. Dialogue is a two-way, so there's speaking and listening. And then I grabbed that, that listening is an act of love. So what you kind of talked about was, when you that bubble. I listened enough to not only hear what you said, but to care enough to follow through, follow up with you too, just to see how it's going too, and to show that I'm here for you. So, man, we have gone through listening as an act of love, and it can repair, it can provide shelter and protection, it can let you know that I have your back, right? So, I'm gonna jump in a little bit and kind of just share. We can't hide from that, and sometimes I think kind of going to what we talked about regards to maybe outdated forms of masculinity. We talked about cry last week. Is it okay? Is it okay to say to another man, I love you, to another person, I love you, that you may not necessarily be family with, but you have their back? And how do we share that, right? I have been listening with my son all week, Will Smith's Just the Two of Us. And I know there's some Facebook rules to what we can play music-wise, right? So I would have loved to kick off the show with it, but I just want to pull out this one little passage from there. And he says, and I'm not going to sing, even though, Tim, I saw last week, I think you were doing a little bit of singing, or in the past. You've been doing
I sang Lizzo, yeah.
Yeah, man. I give you props.
Yeah. Thanks. I was going to delete it, but I'll keep it up now.
No, keep it up, man. You are a star out there. So, but he said, last night, I don't think one wink I slept. As I slipped out my bed to your crib, I crept. Touched your head gently, felt my heart melt, because I know I loved you more than life itself. And to me, so when I think of that type of love, obviously with my son and my daughter, I try to extend that in all that I do. They playfully now say, because I tell them I love you for now, or I love you, and they say for always, and I say forever. Just that connection piece there, that this love doesn't end. It continues regardless of my place here on earth or beyond. That love is eternal. But I do feel like we have a moral obligation to pay it forward. And that's kind of this exercise that we all did. If one person that we reached out to one, and that one reached out to one, we can change some of these preconceived or outdated thoughts of A, masculinity, B, spread this love in a time where love is needed more than ever, right? But we have to understand too that there's different layers to this. There's different layers to this love piece, but it can do so much. Tim, you got?
Yeah, I think I love the fact that all of us say too that we say to our kids, like, we love you, and we just call it out. Whereas I think, like, I know my relatives in an older generation, they showed love, and they, Jose said, they acted. Their actions illustrated their love. So, like, my father working 120 hours a week down at the docks for his family to support them for like 50 years, and people doing that's an act of love. But I think just as these days, like, I want my son to know it. I don't want him to wait till he has kids. Like, I don't want him to wait 20, 30 years from now and being like, oh, wait, that's why dad was working overtime so much, because he loves me. I want him to know, man. And I tell him that 15 times a day, at least. So I love the fact we actually say it. And I feel like that really makes a difference.
Yeah, you're right. Saying it, because, right, we can understand in our heart, like, yeah, I'm showing love in all that I do. But to say that and express it. And then I think, Jose, even to ask what that means. What does that mean to you when I say I love you? Tim, I'm going to come back to you again here. You challenged me. You didn't necessarily know you directly did it, but in our email correspondence, like I want to ask my wife, like, you know, when I say that to you, what does that mean to you? And I know you said you were.
Good luck, man. That's on you, brother. Good luck.
No, but that is so like,
Yeah.
I mean, those that we choose to be with, you know, my dad always and my mom always taught me, if you're with someone, they should take you to a higher level. They shouldn't bring you down. But there's going to be times where we're down, and articulating that love so that it's not just an understood expression from a standpoint of, like, we say it every day, but it's truly understood what it means when I say it in different avenues too, right? So maybe some point we'll pick up how that conversation with Tim.
I'm with you next week now. I want to know how it went with your wife.
Yeah, that's so natural transition here. Yeah, I think we could go on with this topic of love, I think, for a while. But there's two things before we move into the next segment. I do want to put the challenge to anyone that's paying attention or that's on listening or will listen throughout the week, to reach out to someone in your contact list. Share that statement. If it's "I love you," however you share it, so that it can be received, and get that chain reaction going. You know, pay it forward, I guess, is a challenge I would put to everyone, because there's only good that can, I think, come from it.
Michael, I have a follow-up question or a follow-up statement. Just listening here, I got to be honest, and maybe this is because I'm a Scorpio. I don't know, man. But when I fall out of love with you, it's over.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know if that's my Mexican side, Scorpio, Catholic side, small town side. I don't know what where it's from, but it's like, I'm going to give everything to you. And I don't expect it back, but I don't expect to get hurt either, right? So I don't expect you to do what I'm doing, but if you hurt me, I move on. I move on. There's not much for me to do, but I move on.
Yeah. But
Jose, how do you that's interesting, Jose. It really is, and it takes me to the scripture, and I think it was in the Gospel of Luke, where, you know, he speaks about investing in love into others, even if that person can do nothing for you, and to return is the greatest display of love that there is.
Yeah.
And so I bring it back to what Mike says, that it's our moral obligation to teach love to our children and have them pass it on to each other and others. So hearing you say that and just knowing you is kind of surprising. Like, how do you talk that through with your kids, like when they're wronged at school or when they're just wronged in life?
Well, that's a great question, John. My father used to say in Spanish, "Son, there are no friends." And I was like, at first I was like, "What are you talking about, Dad? I mean, you got it wrong." And I think what he meant to say was, they're eventually going to hurt you. And so if that's the case, just be ready for it. You do you, but just be ready for it. And for me, it's about my bubble. For me, it's what I'm trying to tell my children. It's about the space. You got love to give, and there's some that will yearn for it and others that aren't ready for it. And so for those that aren't ready for it, let's just put them outside that bubble and give it to those that yearn for it. I'm not saying get rid of those outside the bubble and welcome them back when they're ready. But it's that idea I learned in counseling is, when you're doing counseling with someone, you know, you don't want to shove it down their brain and their heart. You want to just have it ready for them to receive. What you need to work on is work on their hands so they're ready to receive it.
Wow.
That's what counseling is like. So that's how I pursued my love language with others is in that regard. But yeah, John, I'll tell you, man, I'm known for this, and just in close circles, I am not going to lie, and I'm not trying to be facetious, but there's times where I go, "What was that person's name?" And they're guy, and I'm being sincere as all can be. And then after a while I go, "Oh, that's right, it's so and so." But it's not, I have moved on, and I have another person there, a group there. But it takes a lot to get me there, though, to be fair.
Mm.
It doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot to get me there, but once I'm there, I'm there. Yeah.
So, you know, hearing the dialogue, it makes me think like, so when you confess a love, does that love ever really go away? But, you know, what my dad also, you know, what I also learned is, you know, sometimes you got to give people the Heisman, meaning you got to keep them, you know, you got to put them away a little bit. Because that doesn't mean I don't love you, but, you know,
Right.
hey, it's not right now. And when it, like you said, when it's ready, when we're ready to rejoin, then the love is there. It doesn't go away. But it might need to, you know, we might need distance. Distance makes the heart grow fonder sometimes, maybe, and gives you time to repair and heal. But true, authentic love, and I've got your back. So I might not be able to have your back as much as I want to right now because of the harm. But you know, the part of my what I share with people is I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. You know, at some point that there's nothing you can do about it, it means regardless of where we are, you know, where we've been, I'm still gonna love you. I might have to take a little detour along the way, but it's still gonna be there. At some point, we can reconnect. So I think that's okay. I mean, I think sometimes it's healthier to step away, to step back, and then enter in.
I can just say one thing about what Jose said. I know we're short on time here, but Jose talked about a bubble, you know, and I know I've been joking about my conversation with my girlfriend before this, but you know, the one thing I didn't say was that when I think of love, especially, you know, I'm a single dad with 2 kids, right? She's a single mom with 3 kids. So for me, you know, to say I love someone and to bring them in is, like you said, letting them into my bubble, letting them into my kids' bubble, you know, which is not like, I mean, you know, I'm so hyper conscious. My kids have dealt with a divorced parent once. I don't want them to deal with it again, you know? So it's and building that partnership, you know? So, I mean, yeah, I love what Jose said about a bubble. And then God, Jesus, we work together, you know? So we're all up in each other's bubble and we do it pretty well. And that's because I love her.
Amen.
All right. John, I want to hear about your Italian side though real quick, but Michael, we're about to write a book, all 4 of us. You ready for it?
I'm ready.
The Bubble of Love.
Oh man, you should have kept that off air, man.
No one can take it. No one can take it. I want NPU. Let's go. The Bubble of Love.
Right now.
Yeah,
That's powerful.
yeah.
All right, but real quick on John. John, I'm really curious about the Italian side in that regard. And I don't know. And again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to any of my culture, including my own. But like, where do you think? I mean, do you think? Well, my Mexican side I'll speak to, maybe that can cut you off, you're gonna move on, blah, blah, blah. Did you get that flavor with the Italian side, maybe the more traditional side in your upbringing?
Yeah, you know, and I can't speak for all Italians. I
Right.
just know in our family, we wear our heart on our sleeve, which means people know that we love them. People know that we'll be there for them, but we also get hurt because we have our heart on our sleeves like that. And I think, yeah, I get a lot of like my expressions for love and how I give and receive love. I get a lot of that from my mother, from having to spend so much time with her. And she was an individual that truly felt that the energy and power of love could change the whole world. And so growing up, I kind of just was in that mindset. And so for us, you know, like, we're quick to love, and, you know, we're quick to get hurt, but we're also quick to forgive. And I think I pass that on to my children in the same way. And I think even now more than ever, probably with my youngest, because of social media and those shallow connections that are there, you know, I always try to encourage her to develop those strong, authentic relationships that go beyond just sending a text or liking a picture, but just truly picking up that phone and calling and connecting with somebody, spending time with them, letting them know that you care. And like we talked about here, just letting them know, like, regardless through thick or thin, and like Mike likes to say, there's nothing you can do about it. I'm still gonna be there to have your back. And I think that's kind of like how we were raised, and that's kind of how I raise our children as well.
Yeah. So, gentlemen, we are, you know, I think this dialogue, we could keep going and going and keep pushing on this. And I know we will off air too, but, you know, I just want to thank you all for, to me, this is a layer of vulnerability. You know, we're putting our emotions out there and our feelings around a very sensitive topic of love. But that's courageous too. And if there's anything as dads, to other dads, you know, we should be the courageous leaders that says it's okay to put this out there. It's okay to share love. It's okay to be hurt by it and own that, right? It's just owning our feelings and owning our emotions. So I just want to thank everyone for this week in this dialogue, because I think it's just it helped me. It helped me process my feelings of angst this week with others and realize that, hey, it's okay to, you know, distance, you know, have someone go out my bubble for a little bit, but, you know, at some point, you know, I'll open my hands and be ready to invite back in. So transitioning to our last segment, you know, this is the big one, right? What are we going to do moving forward? What promises are we going to make for this week moving ahead? And John, since I'm looking at you right now, because I can only look at one person at a time, I'm going to start with you. John, what promises are you going to try to do this week to make yourself a little bit better? Challenges.
Oh, that's a good question. I think for me, I think what I'm gonna, it's not really a challenge. I think it's just how I've accustomed to just live my life. I'm just gonna continue to just wake up every day and be grateful, and just be the better person that I was the day before.
Better than the day before. All right, Tim.
You know, I want to do over with this texting I love you thing. If you did 50, I'm going to go through my phone and I'm going to text every guy. I mean, some of them are old employees, but I mean, what are they going to do now? Fire me? You know, it's no big deal. Because, you know, one thing you talked about, you said a few times, Michael, is not keeping those relationships going over the course of a year and maybe not keeping it as tight as you could. I just like to see how things turn out. There's some people I miss. And I like to say, hey, I love you. Hope you're doing okay, especially during times like today.
Yeah, awesome. Jose, what you got for yourself this week?
Man, you know, I'm working 15-hour days. Because of Tim, I'm inspired to do a show in the evening, Pacific Standard Time. I'm actually going to look at my bubble and pull some folks in. I'm going to pull some men in that I've been missing, and I think I'm ready to re-engage in that real purposeful way. So I'll give you an update to see how far I get for next week.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I, like I said earlier, I'm going to steal a little bit out of Tim's playbook here, and I'm going to, you know, ask my wife, you know, what does it mean to you when I say I love you? You know, I thought maybe kind of a little variation, but what does it mean to you when I say that? And hopefully we have some good dialogue around that and continue to grow and be strong. So I'll update everyone with how that goes. I am going to be strategic when I ask it, though. So, hey, everyone, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in for this episode of Dad's Dad, and we'll see you next week.
Good job, Mike.
Good job, Mike.
Good job, buddy. Great.
Yep. All right. Whew.
That was a good job, man. You did it with your phone.